Unleash your ideas. Like and subscribe. Unleash your ideas. Like and subscribe. Yeah, yeah. Got a spark in your soul, time to set it free. From your heart to the world.
Hey guys, Dee Williams here, and today we are talking about staffing. We're talking about staffing and starting your very own niche recruitment and staffing business, and not just staffing the business and starting the staffing business, but actually scaling the staffing business, taking it from just an idea to generating revenue and to actually scaling it so that you're not just a solo entrepreneur running your staffing agency business, but you are a full-blown business, right? Where you've got employees, people working on your behalf and allowing you to take control of your time, right? And still make the money that you want to make. And so every week we have our live setup class and or Q&A class rather. It used to be just a setup class, and then we merged the classes. So now we have the setup and the run it class that's merged. And it's for people to come in. If they're live on our Zoom call, they can ask questions and and comment in any way that they want. If you are live on my YouTube channel or my LinkedIn channel, I would say, hey, what's your name? Where are you chiming in from? Would love to learn a little bit more about you, your idea for your niche staffing agency, and where you're going with that. And then if you're watching the replay, hey, you did it. You might not have been here live, but you still made the replay, and that's all that matters. So today, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about staffing. Now, I'm going live twice today, but this morning we're solely talking about your staffing business, and I'm going to be sharing my screen in a little bit. You already know how I do. But I would like to say, if you have a moment, I would love for you to do me a favor and like this video, subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. Share this video with a friend, somebody you think that would find this video to be valuable. We're going to be talking money. We're going to be talking strategy. We're going to be talking technology. So all very important stuff. And make sure you got some good fired up energy. Like, so important. so important, right? And that's what we're talking about today. So if you're here, welcome. My girl Alexis is here. Hey, she said, finally able to get you live. You got me live today. You actually do. I'm excited to be here. It's a holiday today, so my office is closed. But I wanted to hang out with you all a little bit since my office is closed. I have a little bit of free time to share my brain, share my energy with you. So I want to know, first of all, like, why staffing? This is a question that I ask everyone. Why are you starting a staffing business? Like, what's your reason for starting the staffing business? Yes, you can make a lot of money. We all know that. We talk about that. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'm going to show you how much money you can make and how you can really turn this idea into a multi-million-dollar business by yourself. But what you can also do when you scale it and bring other people on selling for you, you can take it out of the water even in your first year, right? So I'm going to show you that in a second. But I want to know why. Like, why do you want to do this business? Is it something that you have seen in the industry that you feel like, I got to do this? Is it, do you want to make money? I saw Alexa, she's all in. She says, hey, because I want to make a difference in people's lives. I love that. That's very, very important. So do you want to make a difference? Like, what's your why? That's the biggest thing. And you really want to figure out what that why is, and you want to nurture that why. I'm going to tell you why in a second. Hey, Judy, my girl, how are you? I miss you, Judy. Oh my gosh. You haven't been able to get registration confirmation? What? I sent you an okay, I'm gonna come back to you. Just give me a second because we'll go through that this evening. I got your back though. That's my girl. Okay. She said, was at a previous staffing agency and people have been calling me since I left. I love that. Okay. So your why is not just making a difference in people's lives, but you also have a network of people. You also have a network of people who you feel like you can actually bring real value, real support to, which is amazing. That's what I love. And I got to tell you, I really, really want you to understand that why is something that you really want to live on, right? That you want to live around, that you want it to be the forefront of the reason you're doing this business. Because a lot of people start this business, they give up very early. They give up, even if it's not early, they give up. And that's because they're not really attached to their why. They're more concerned with what's not working, why it's not working, how it's not working, when it's not working, where it's not working, versus what the goal is, right? And why we're accomplishing this goal. And that is very important. People give up because they're not tied into their why. Why are you doing this business? I'm going to ask again. And I'm going to pick on Alexis a little bit here. I think she doesn't mind. But if your why is because you want to make a difference in people's lives, then there's no way you could ever give up on this business, because how you going to make a difference in people's lives if the business is not here? Right. And I'm just picking. She know that's not, it's not what it is, but I'm just saying, because that's an answer that a lot of people say. It's like, I want to make a difference. Okay. So then when things get rough, things get hard, and they will, because you're starting a business. You're not working a one role in a job, which is totally different, right? You're not just working one role in a job. You're running the whole business. Initially, at least, right? So it's like, you can't just be giving up. Like, how you going, you can't just give up. And I'm not saying you're giving up, but there are people who are watching this live, and there are people who are watching the replay, and you haven't made any money in this business. You know that if you have, it's been very little, and it's because of the effort or lack of effort that has been that has not been there, and that's the reason. And I say that, and I'm just giving those two little examples, no digs, but the why is not. You're not attached to that why. You got to be attached to that why. Like, I cannot allow people not to be able to get that job, or for me to be able to help them get to the next level, help them to level up. When you attach yourself to the why, it becomes a part of your purpose. It becomes a part of your mission. It becomes a part of your vision. And the way you show up for your business is very different. It's like, by any means necessary. It's not something that's on the back end, right? It's not something that's like, oh, I'm going to get to that next week. I've got so much going on with something else. No, it is the priority. It is the number one priority when your business is tied to your why. Okay. It is the priority. Now, I could be biased in this moment right now because, like, I'm in a 90-day lock-in. And even though I ain't going live every day, I am locked in. Let me just give you an example. This weekend. Oh, my gosh. So I typically... I have a pretty decent friend circle, and people are typically texting me like, hey, let's go out. What we doing this weekend or whatever. So first of all, I'm not drinking. Okay. So I'm on like a detox right now. So I don't really want to go out so much because I'm not drinking. When I go out, I typically drink with my friends, Second, I'm on this 90-day lock-in. And that means that I can't really do the things that I normally do because I have to be locked in and focused on what I'm doing. Like, because I know I want to see a new version of myself in 2026, So I've been really, really focused. So my guy calls me and he goes like, hey, come on over to the bars, and we're gonna celebrate somebody's birthday or whatever. My technology. So first of all, if y'all have gone to start.unleashyourideas.com, this is not about staffing, but I just share this with you. Like, the tech, I did something, I reprogrammed the 90-day check-in to be more detailed, right? So if you chose finances, you could log in your money. I'm gonna show y'all later today. If you chose health, then you could log in your weight. Like I really upgraded it, but in the process of doing that, I did something wrong and nobody's been able to log in. Okay. It's like redirecting. And so all weekend, like that's been my focus, is just trying to be able to get everybody back in. I didn't even want to go live because I couldn't get anybody in. I was like feeling a way about all of that. Right. So things finally started working. And that's just one project. The other project is the one I'm going to show y'all today. But things finally started working. They started working. And I'm like, okay. And then my guy says, oh, change of plans. We're doing this. And now I'm like, oh, I gotta stop working, so that I can do normal life things, which I want to do, right? But I'm locked in. Like, it's hard because you've got to find balance, yes, but at the same time, you've got to have a core focus. My core focus was what's going to happen if I go live tomorrow and my technology is not working out. I'm out here partying. I wasn't partying, but I'm just saying I'm out here partying when this is supposed to be my focus. And I need this to be my focus because I want people to do this challenge because they're texting me. They're telling me, D, you doing this is the best thing that's happened to me right now. So I know people are depending on me. And so that's important to me. That's more important to me than anything else, in this moment. Your why's got to be important. Your why has to be important to you. Why are you doing this business? And is it important enough for you to continue to make that phone call when you don't want to call back when somebody hangs up on you, to invest your money and from other things to ensure that the business stays open? Why you put the energy in to get the new business, to show up and knock on somebody's door, to have a webinar that you don't want to have, to partner with somebody to get your word out there, to have conversations with people who don't want to have conversations. Like, what is your why? Are you connected to it? I mean, it's real. This is a real conversation right now, because I'm telling you, before we even start talking about starting a business and making money and all of those things, if you're not sincere about why you're doing the business, then the moment it doesn't feel good to you, or the moment that things aren't working in the way that you're imagining them in your head, you're going to check out. It'll be a waste of your time, waste of your money, and all of that. And the only reason why you'll still be in it is because your ego will be saying, I don't want to seem like I'm a failure. I don't want to give up. But in real life, you have no real ties to that business. So when you start this business in particular, because this is $1 billion business model, it's not $1 million business model. It's not $100,000 business model. It is $1 billion business model. And I show you the PowerPoint with all of the companies that are making billions of dollars in staffing. So this is $1 billion business model. You have the ability to generate billions, not millions, billions. Now what? Can you get there? Is your why strong enough? That's the first question I pose for you today. What's your sacrifice? What are you willing to do? So I'll start there, and then we're gonna share my screen, because I kind of got serious with it, but I think that's really where I want you to start your conversation with yourself, your pondering, right? And just, you feel free to join our 90-day challenge. I don't know, you can go to events.unleashyourideas.com, and it'll help you sign up for the start one, but to track your 90-day. But I would encourage you to get serious about this business. If you're watching this replay, or if you're watching this and you're like, I started, but I stopped. I need to start back up again. I started, but it's time to get back on the wagon. You're not bringing 2026 in the same way we brought in, how we do in 2025. If we really are here for our particular why, we want to make a difference. I'm using hers, but we want to make a difference. We want to make money. We want to level up. We see a need. Then it's time to get in and to get focused around this business and this business model, and to stop playing with it. Okay. So the why. Now, once you got your why in place, and you have a very good idea of, yes, this is it, I'm all in, I'm not, I'm in, okay? The next piece is your vision, believe it or not. And I'm not talking about the vision statement, although that's very important. I'm talking about the vision. Like, where do you see yourself? Why is this important? when I bring on new staffingpreneurs into Staffingpreneurs Academy, whether they're coming into the academy or whether they're working with me one-on-one, I'm always asking, like, how do you see your staffing agency in the next year and in the next 10 years? And most people can't see past the setup of the business. They're like, I haven't even thought that through, D. But that's one of the first things you want to think about, because you already have a why. So you already know why you're doing it. So what's the vision? Where do you see yourself in a year from now? Where do you see yourself 10 years from now? Financially, your position in the market space, like what's your vision? And I mean your real vision. Now, you might be saying, okay, I don't know, D. I mean, it just depends on how much money I make. You're thinking too realistically. And we're talking about visions and goals, right? It's like, what do you want? What do you want to see? Right? And we need a vision, because without a vision, it's going to be harder to conjure the energy to actually bring the idea to life. Ooh, I don't even know if you caught that. Put a 1 if you caught that. Did you catch that? That might have went over some people's heads, but let me say it again. If you don't have a vision in your mind as to what you're trying to accomplish, where you're trying to go, what you're trying to see, what you're trying to do with your staffing agency or any business whatsoever, then you will not be able to create enough energy in order to see that vision come to life. So when you have a vision, then you can conjure energy. You can create energy around it, and you can push that energy out there in a way to where things will kind of automatically happen for you. But when you don't have a vision, then you don't have a destination. Do you know what I'm saying? You don't have a destination. You need a destination. In order to get someplace, in order to go to the next space, you need a destination. Your vision is your destination. Okay. So if you have a why, I know why I'm doing this, because I want to leave a legacy for my family. That's what I hear the most. I want to leave a legacy for my family. I want something for my kids, my grandkids to have when I'm gone. Okay, cool. I love that. So that's your why. I want to help people. Cool. I love that. I want to make more money. Cool. I love that. That's your why. And you standing by that why. Now, what's my vision? My vision is, in 10 years, I am a $50 million staffing agency. We're all working virtually, but I've got 25 people on my internal staff here in the United States, another 25 people internationally, right? I also have 2,000 people on billing, okay? And we're making roughly 500 direct hire placements per year collectively across the country. I'm just making numbers up. I mean, just what's your vision? The numbers don't even have to be right. I'm just saying, what's your vision? Okay. Also, we have been awarded from the American Staffing Association Staffing Industry Analyst for being top staffing agency for the past 3 years. The work that we're doing in the community has been outstanding. We've been able to do, like, what is your vision? Where are you taking this agency? How many people know you? Do your candidates know who you are? Do your clients know who you are? You might be saying 10 years from now, we have billboards across the country. We just did our Super Bowl commercial, and we just sponsored da 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 da. Make it up. Who cares if it happens or not? You need a vision of what it looks like, what it feels like just even what it looks like to start off. That's where I want you to be. In 10 years, I'll be how old or how young, and what do I look like? What is my business like? Where do I live? What am I driving? Like, all of that. What does this company look like? How much are we making? What does the staff look like? Get the vision right. Have fun with it. Be crazy with it or not, but have a vision. Okay. Now, when you get this vision, so you got your why, you got your vision. When you get your vision, as you're putting this vision together, you're going to conjure energy whether you want to or not. Because if you got a vision that really resonates with you and your why and your future self, then you'll start to get excited. You're going to start to feel an energy around it right off the break. Billboards. Oh, I love that. Yes, billboards across the country. That's going to spark something in your soul, in your heart, right? We got an award for such and such. How do you feel when you get an award? Right? How do you feel when you're well known? How do you feel to know you can look in your bank account and there's $50 million just sitting there? That's not including your operating expenses and all of. There's just 50 million just cooking, waiting on you to decide whether you want to keep the company going or whether you want to sell it because you got it, right? Like, how does that feel? How does it feel to have a team across the country, across the globe, depending on you as their leader, but also working on behalf of the organization and the brand? How does that feel? Because all of those are energies that are creative energies. That's exactly what it is. It's creative energy that's giving you an opportunity to genuinely manifest, conjure, and create your future. You want to do this before you start any business. So it's not just about staffing, but today we're talking about staffing. But I'm telling you, you do it for love. You do it for money. You do it like this is the process, okay? It'll make your process easier. I would say you don't have to do this, but it'll definitely make your process easier. So you got your why, you got your vision, and now you got some energy around that vision. I need you to start practicing with that energy around your vision, because when things get rough, when things don't feel good, when things aren't going the way you want, you're going to need to tap back into that energy. That's why we're having this conversation today, because I got a lot of clients that stop and start, you know, or start and never go and never come back. And this is not to make anybody feel bad. This is to make sure that we're on the same page so that you can define where you are. If you're in the right place, with the right coach. It's about defining what your next step is in real life, right? That's really what it's about. Okay, so we've got this energy now. We're feeling good about the vision. Okay, we got an idea what we want. Now we can start building the staffing agency. We can start actually building the agency. And in building the agency, it goes beyond just like having the idea, having the why, having the vision, and having the energy. You now have to understand what makes sense. What area does it make sense for me to start the staffing agency? And it's something that I want you to know today. Like, in staffing is a very unique business model, because the more it's based on salaries, basically, and hourly rates, right? The more money you make, or the more money the candidate makes, rather, the more money you make. Okay, so the higher the salary of the candidate that you're going to be placing, the more money you make. The higher the hourly rate, the lower the hourly rate, the more money you make. Depending. Well, it kind of depending. It's kind of the higher, but the lower. The higher their pay rate, then the more money you make. But the lower the lower the pay rate, the higher the pay rate. So I'll show you. Let me explain it. Let me pull the calculator out and I'll give you the skinny. So while I'm pulling the calculator out, it's two things you got to know. You want to have a market, right? You got to choose a niche market that you feel comfortable with. And that's why I was telling you that those the salaries and so forth matter. And they do matter. They matter a lot, actually. And so first things first, mark up over. We're going to pull out the calculator. So you want to have you want to focus on an hourly rate or a salary, or rather a role where you have the ability to generate a decent amount of money. I would say that. Let me just see. I'm pulling the when I did this one. Okay, right. There we go. I'm going to share my screen with you, and I want to just go through, because this is how you really define what your market is worth. I meet nurses all the time, and it's not just for nurses. This is for anybody. But I would just say that I meet nurses all the time, and they have like a full network of nurses that they hang out with and different things like that. But they're not monetizing their network on any level. they should be monetizing this network because they know and they have relationships with employers who are looking to put nurses to work. And if an employer doesn't feel good about working with a staffing agency, you can still be a staffing agency and not call yourself a staffing agency, if that makes sense. Okay. So you can still be a staffing agency and not call yourself a staffing agency to appease someone else. So if they say, we're not working with staffing agencies, you say, I'm not a staffing agency. So what am I? We're a workforce solutions provider, right? Or we are a contingency containment firm. Who cares what the name is? I mean, staffing has so many different names under that umbrella. You have a RPO, you have MSP, you have contract, like so many different terms to staffing. You don't have to call yourself a staffing agency. So if you're getting, and I know this is a light bulb for a lot of y'all, but if you're getting pushback on staffing, don't call it a staffing agency, call it something else. And now, but still offer the same service, and just don't call it a staffing service, call it a workforce service, or you understand what I'm saying? I think you do. So let me share my screen because your network is everything. And let's go here. I'm gonna put this right here. Perfect. Your network is everything. This is the calculator. I hope y'all can see this. I think you can. This is a calculator that we use. And we talk about how staffing, there's two types of payment models that you're going to engage with when you're talking about a staffing model, right? Perfect. So you have the first model, which is your direct hire, where they give you a one-time payment for putting someone into their payroll. And then you have an hourly model, which is like more of like your residual income coming in, right? You want to do both because you never know what an employer needs. And sometimes an employer doesn't know what he needs, or she, right? Or they, or them. A lot of times they need somebody full-time, but a full-time hire is very risky. So you might want to put somebody in there temporarily while you're looking for that full-time hire. You want to be able to provide both of those services, and it's all in the way you position yourself to them that matters, right? But it's about you listening and hearing and listening and trying to get an understanding of exactly what they need, and then see how you can position yourself and your talent into that space. Now, with that being said, if you go back and watch last week's video, you know how important it is to have great talent. Most of you are going after the employer and not trying to find and build the relationships with the candidates, but your candidates are your capital, not the employer. The employer pays the bill, yes, 1,000,000%, but your candidates are your capital because your candidates are the products, right? Your candidates are your capital. So let's say that you have a role, you have a network, and I'm going to play with a couple of niche markets. Let's say you have a network of CNAs. Okay. I'm just going to use that as an example. So I'm going to go to Perplexity and I'm just going to say, what is the average salary and hourly pay rate for a CNA, which is, let's see what he comes back with. And then I'm going to do the same thing for a PT, physical therapist. And I'm going to do the same thing for a RN. And then I'm going to do the same thing for a nurse AD administrator. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing for a DON. And I'm just using them as an example. You can do this in any market. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. So this gives you all the areas of, that you might see. I didn't do like a chief executive officer, but I just did just kind of, give me a lowdown skinny on what we got. So if we were, why they put me in Cali? The Cali has some of the highest rates. I'm just going to tell you. So these rates wouldn't be typical, to whatever, right? But let's just go here and say that it's normally around 49,500. for a CNA. So we would charge the employer, okay, a percentage of the candidate's salary. So if the CNA came on full time and the salary was $49,000, your staffing agency would make $9,000 off of that placement. With a 25% fee, your agency would make $12,000. If you placed one of these people per month at these rates, at these fees, you would do roughly $267,000 in a direct hire business only, just placing CNAs. That doesn't include any of the hourly that would come in. This is just you placing 2 CNAs per month at around roughly $50K. Okay. If you took the same CNAs and they said that on average they make about $22.33 an hour. So let's just add that in there, right? And then we mark that pay rate up 65%. Now you are paying your CNA 22, you're billing the employer 36 with all the costs and overhead and stuff. It costs about $27 to hire that CNA. And then you have a gross profit margin of $9 an hour, around 24%. You're going to make roughly $366 a week. If they work 40 hours a week, you'll do $19,000 per year. You're not going to make a lot off of that person because the hourly rate is so low, right? But with volume, you could do a lot. So if you can keep 25 CNAs on billing all year, you could make about $500,000, right? 9,000 per week, 39,000 per month. You got 25 on billing. With those rates, you could do something. You could make some magic happen. It could happen. I know someone, she's got 243 roughly CNAs on billing right now, and that's just about where she is. She's a little bit higher than that. She's making a little bit more than that, but she's roughly around there. She's got more than just CNAs. She's got some nurses and some other little things, but mainly her business is CNAs. So she's at roughly 89 a week, and they're going in and out. Some of them on contract, some of them shift work. So she's just got a full-blown business model. So that just gives you an idea of how this can look, right? When you have such a small business, a small salary, a lower salary roles. Now that doesn't mean that that's a bad thing, right? Because if you're bringing people in with lower salaries, they're typically in the blue collar space and what we call in staffing, commercial staffing, and that is a much needed space. It's a high volume, low margin, right? Meaning you're not going to make a lot of money. You got to place a lot of them in order to make a lot of money. So high volume, a lot of people, low margin. You're not going to make a lot of money. So that's warehouse construction, customer service. Yes, you will see it on the CNA or a nursing aide or a medical assistant or something like that, right? Warehouse, and I think I mentioned that, order picker, what have you. When you start getting into more intense roles, right? Let's just say your RNs, or you've got a $44 an hour rate, and they're making somewhere roughly around 92,000 a year. So let's go in and add the 92,000 a year. And I say this, and I'm going through this with you because the question is, where's your network, and what is your network worth? Because you've got the why, you've got the vision, you've got the energy. Now we've got to make sure we've got the right product. Hello. We got to make sure we got the right products. Okay. So with the nurse making 92,000 a year with a 20% fee, your check is 18,000 on the direct hire side. Right. And if you're at 25%, your check is 23, and you have a $500,000 staffing agency just on the direct hire side. So now we're going to go down and we're going to hit the $44.47 is the average hourly rate here in California, is what they're saying. So if we have one person at 44 an hour, I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. I feel like you need to see this, right? One person at 44 an hour here. And they are doing roughly, we'd have a 65% markup. Our bill rate is going to be around $73.38 an hour, right? That's your bill rate. And even though we're paying the candidate $44 an hour, the real cost to hire that candidate is about $55.12 because you've got taxes, insurance, whatever the case may be, right? So you've got about 55 there. So you're at 73 bill rate, right? You're paying them 44, but it actually costs 55. You're making roughly $18.25 an hour for every hour that person works. Now, most nurses, they actually work 36-hour work weeks and not 40. So we can just change that to make it a little bit more realistic. But as you can see, with just one nurse on billing all year long, working 36 hours a week, you're going to make about $34,000 a year. If you can keep 5 nurses on billing all year long, you're going to make about $170,000 a year, which is about $3,200 a week. In your first year, you're going to be fighting to get to your first 25. And your first 25 will get you around $1 million. That's around 800 around 800,000 a year, right? But if you add that with your direct hire, you've made roughly 1.5 million a year. So you're doing 2 direct hires a month, and then you've got 25 people on billing consistently, and you're at 1.5 million in your first year, right? And that's without scaling hard. That's what you working using your own energy, not bringing a staff in. Okay, that's you using your own energy, not bringing a staff in. This is you putting in the work. You can absolutely do this. Imagine what you can do when you're talking about scaling. Like, you can do so much more. But that's what you're doing here. So now you've got this markup over your pay rate, and you now have an idea of how you're going to get to your $1 million and your 1.5 in your first year. And that's looking at your network, right? So that's if you have a network. We looked at CNAs, then we looked at RNs. I'm going to do one more, and that one is going to be the DON. The DON makes roughly, nationally, they make roughly $134,000 a year. And Cali about 160 a year. So we're going to just take this and we're going to change the number on the direct hire, because yes, you can actually place the DON as well. And I think I'm missing a 1. Hold on. What am I doing? I did. All right, let's go back. 1. So your placement at a 20%, every DON you place, you got a $26,000 check waiting on you. If you do it at the 25%, you've got a $33,000 check waiting on you. You place 1 a year, 1 a month at both salaries, so the same salary but different rates. You're at $725,000 just on the direct hire side. Now, let's go back in, because you can also put DONs on billing. So what's the hourly rate to put them on billing? In California, they says $79.44. We're going to stay there since they've just given it to us outwardly. And we're going to go ahead and put that number in. And we're going to bill the employer $131. And we're going to make $32.61 to grow this staffing agency. Putting 1 on billing is $60,000 a year. You make $1,100 a week. If you've got five DONs on billing, you're already at $305,000 a year, right? Doing about $50,80 a week. And then let's say you get 25 DONs, you're at 1.5 million a year. Plus the 2 direct hire you've made, you're almost at $2 million a year. So you can not just visualize how everything looks and have this number out there, but you can actually take the calculator and help you define what that number looks like in more detail for you, right? And really bring that vision to life even more. Like, my first year, what can I do? And once you start putting that vision together with your market, and you start putting the numbers together, and you get a realistic picture, a little bit more realistic picture of what you're building, now you can start saying, okay, now I know my niche market. I know how much money I want to make. I know how much money I'm going to make. I have my vision. I have my why. I have my energy. Wow, so fired up. right? And now you can start the process of actually bringing the business to life, like learning, right? You got to learn, you got to plan, and you got to execute. Those are going to be the three things that you have to do afterwards. Now, many of you are very intelligent. Y'all have gone and got coaching and training so that you're not just out there doing things nilly-willy. I would encourage you to go to Staffingpreneurs Academy, schedule an appointment so you can get your business set up right and get it compliant from the very beginning. Regardless of what you decide to do, you've got three things you got to do at this point. Those three things are learn, plan, and do. You have to learn. You have to take time out of your schedule to learn. You've got to learn. You got to learn. You got to learn. I know you don't want to learn. I know you just want it to just come together. But you got to learn. You got to take time to learn how to do the business. Okay. And so we have our a spreadsheet to help people learn how to do the business. And it is, I'm going to share my screen here again. And it is just a very visual way for you to see that you can't just start this business and because you have the idea and just go out and start doing things. Like that is a very quick, fast, and easy way to waste your money, to send your money down the drain. No, you actually have to take time to learn, and you've got to then plan things with the information that you've received. And then you actually have to do things. And so I put this spreadsheet together because I had clients, one particular, but many that come through and they're like, they want the outcome, but they don't want to do any of the work that's needed to get to the outcome. They want the outcome, but they don't want to do any of the work that's needed to get to the outcome. Now, yes, you can pay somebody to do the work. You can pay somebody, to do the work for you, but you still need to know enough to be able to guide them, give them direction as the CEO, as the owner, as the steerer of this vision. You still have to know enough to be able to guide them in a direction to where they understand what you're trying to accomplish and what you want. And many of you will just go and buy something or go and decide on something, pay someone to, and just like, can you go and do that for me? And you have no clue, no idea how this is actually going to work or how it's going to come to life or how it even fits into your vision. And so you taking the time to sit down and to understand, what is this? How do I use it? How does it work best in my business? Even asking people those questions like during the demo and stuff like that is like very important. So when we start off in the academy, the first thing you want to do is learn how the business works. That's all learning time. It ain't nothing for you to implement or plan. It's just only there for you to learn. Okay. So that's all learning time. Then you start actually doing things. But even in doing something as small as creating your company name, in my opinion, it's still learning with that, because you're going to watch my videos and I'm going to tell you the secret to creating a business name, because it's not easy. Every standard .com domain is gone, period. So your idea, whatever it is probably in its basic form taken. For the name, and I'm speaking about specifically. So you got to really move a little bit differently when you're creating your company name today. So you get learning on that, and then you plan, figure out like, how am I going to structure this name or whatever, if it makes sense. And then you start going in and doing the research to set up the name. Right. And getting your Gmail address. That's not the email address you're going to send to professionals, but you do need a Gmail address as a catch-all email for like your social media, different things like that, your search engine optimization, like Google My Business, different things like that. So you're going to just gradually start putting things into place for your business. I haven't even registered it just yet. There's actually a formula to setting up a business, and I'm giving it to you right now. Most people think you set it up a totally different way, but this is actually the formula to set it up in a way to where you don't overstep, you don't do things over, you don't waste money. Like, I have really perfected how to set up a business. I perfected this thing down to the core of my bones. Most people who even say that they help people set up business don't even understand the formula. That's interesting enough. So anyway, after you do your Gmail, then you're going to go in and set up your password account because you're about to accumulate 1 billion passwords. And if you do this in the way that I'm going to show you, you're going to be scaling your team rather quickly. And so the passwords are not just for you, but they're also going to be for a team to access. So that's the next thing you got to do. You got to learn how to use the software, start implementing the things that you learn. Then you're going to go in and you're going to set up your, okay, I already talked about that. You're going to purchase your domain next. Don't legalize the business yet. Don't do that. Purchase your domain based on the name that you have. And you might want to go to your state and make sure that the name, which we've already done in the beginning, but you want to next go ahead and set up your name, purchase the domain, and purchase your hosting if you can while you're there. Like, do it all at the same time. And then you're going to get your professional email. Okay, because you're not going to be sending out an email to city councilmen and whoever using the Gmail address, right? That's not professional. That's not how we do business, and that's not how people take you seriously either. Like, if you have a legalized business name, you should have a legalized business email. Or it's not legalized, but you should have a business address with your legal business name, not a free Gmail account. Especially if you want them to be paying you $50, $60, $70, $80,000 and you can't even afford a business email, make it make sense. So you're automatically starting off your business appropriately from the very beginning. So you're going to get your professional email. We get 2 professional emails. One is your name at, the second one is info at. That's the email address that will go on your company's website, different things like that. So people it's kind of like your catch-all with your professional email. After that, the very next thing you want to do is set up your screen recording software. And you might be saying, why would I want to do that? And it's because you're about to set up new software. You're going to be training. You're going to be doing a lot of different things. It's going to be very easy for you to share your screen and to screen something recorded and pass it on to someone, even your coach, than it is for you to don't wait. Just get it now. Like, again, this is a part of the formula. You need this. Okay. So next will be your screen recording software. And then you're going to set up your computer so that, one, you're compliant with the government and the governing bodies, but also so that you can get organized in your business from day one. And so that when you hire a team, they can also see that you're organized, because we want to get you from, I have an idea, I'm a solopreneur, I'm a wannabe-preneur, or wannapreneur, or whatever you want to call it, to I'm actually a full-blown business owner with control of my time, generating real revenue. And that requires a level of organization at the basic level, right? Starting out your basics. You don't want to wait until things start falling apart to decide you want to get organized. That's what you do now. People bring me in as a consultant all the time because they started in nilly-will, or any way they did, and now they've gotten audited, or they see that they really can't move any forward because the basics of their business is not set up. Just the very basics, right? So sometimes you got to go back to home base. You got to start over from the beginning and go in and fill in the blanks before you can move forward and get to the next level. That's what growth and expansion and evolution and all of that stuff is about. So people do call me for that. So just something simple is just getting your computer system set up properly. A lot of people don't even have that. Then you're going to set up your cloud storage for you to be able to use, and for your team to be able to use with you as they come in, and any authenticator apps that you have. And then you're going to go in and create all your AI accounts, because we are now in a world of AI, and you got to be using AI, or you just not going to be on top of things. To be honest, you're going to be behind, because people are doing things much easier and faster with AI. Once you get your AI, you're going to go into ChatGPT and create your GPT agents, and then you're going to start defining your niche in more detail. So we kind of did that earlier when we realized like what our network is. So now that we know who our network is and what roles we're going after, now we've got to flush that out in detail. Who are we going after? Who hires them? How much do they make? Where they at? Like all of that good stuff. We have a whole course on this specifically, which is clarifying your niche. I was thinking about doing software on this, but we'll see. Then you're going to go back. Now that you've gone through all of that, you're going to need a refresher on how the business works, so that you can make sure that your vision is still in line with what you're trying to accomplish. Then you're going to go in and start figuring out setting up the organizational infrastructure for your business, your goals, your personal business, your impact. Then all of this stuff is going to come back into play. So it's going to make more sense there than it did when we first started out, because it's like now you have a better understanding of how things work and how things are. And then you're going to go in and start actually building out your vision, your mission, your standards, your philosophy, and all of that stuff. Oh my gosh, it's going to be fire at this point. You should be fired up. You are conjuring your vision right then and there when this is happening. Trust me. Now you're getting into the meat and potatoes of your business. This is really where you want to get your coach. And it's like, okay, am I doing this right? What are my lines of business? What are my services? What's going to be my framework? What's my differentiator? Who are like really going into that, right? And then you're going to start designing all of the things associated with your onboarding process. So not just your people internally, but how you're going to engage and manage your people externally that are coming into your organization. All of that happens here. This is where you're really getting into the more of the human resources, the processes, the systems. All of that stuff are all very, 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 very important. I'm gonna just go back and do that because I think I like kind of messed that up. I don't want to mess anything up. So all of that's what's gonna happen. After there, I'm just gonna and then you're gonna go in and you're gonna do the same thing for the employer side, but now you're gonna start getting more into the legal side of things. And you're going to start making sure that all your policies, procedures, your handbooks, your tax forms, all of that stuff is in place. And then you're going to understand how to run your business financially. And then you're going to really be at the point where you're starting to get ready to build out your brand. So you do all of this stuff gets done before your brand gets built out. And the reason is because all of these things help define what your brand is going to be. Now, when y'all come through my class, while y'all are building that stuff out, my team builds out the brand. We pretty much have built so many staffing brands out. We know exactly where you're going for the most part, unless you bring something very unique to the table. So we try to do these things simultaneously. But if you're doing this on your own, for sure, all of these things would want to be done first prior to you getting your brand in place so that you can understand what your personality, your brand, and so forth. Then you're going to go in and get your brand set up, making sure you have your address and, your phone number, all before you ever register the business. Now, I just want to give you a little bit of perspective here, because most of y'all come to me registering the business first. Look. That's number 26 on the list. That ain't number 1. That's number 26 on the list. So this tells you how a lot of people are doing things very, very backwards. Okay. Then we get into all the rest of the infrastructure of building the business out, which I'm not going to go in through today. But these are all the things on the checklist that actually have to be done before you even start getting to the point of launching. Like, how am I going to launch the business? And oh, by the way, now that I've got all of this and I've laid the foundation for the business and how I want it to work, now I actually have to structure it to actually run, put the tools and the systems and processes that I created. Now I have to actually implement those, execute those, and put those into place. So many people come to me and they think that this business is so, like, I don't say easy. It is to some degree, but I'm going to show you. This is how they come to me. I'm going to pull this up. They really literally think that this is how the business works. Like, that's why I created this, because they really, really think the business is this simple. It's so funny. But really, the business don't look like that. The business actually looks like this. And they want to take this and they want to start this, and they want it to be up and running in 2 weeks and making money in 4. And it's just not realistic. You know what I'm saying? It's just not realistic. It's just not. I can tell you that even in 89, when we were doing things this way, the companies that you see on this list, I'm going to show you because I created a little list here for y'all. The companies that you see here on this list right here, these lists, it took them work to get to that $1 billion mark. It took them work to get to that $1 billion mark. It took them work to get to that $1 billion mark. These healthcare staffing agencies that started just a couple of years ago, they didn't get there just wishing and dreaming, and they did, like, they put work in. You hear me? You hear me? They put work in to get to that $2 billion mark. Even these companies right here in the last 10, 11 years that hit the 40 million, 38 million, 19 million, 11, like, they put that work in. They put that time and energy in. It didn't happen by shortcuts, using shortcuts. It didn't happen by having just literally like, oh, it's just that it just didn't happen that way. It took time, it took strategy, it took focus, it took vision, it took building a team, it took firing people, hiring people, getting sued, going through bankruptcy. And I'm not saying this happens with everybody. I'm just saying these are some of the things that people go through in order to get to that $1 billion mark. So it doesn't just happen like that overnight. You got to have perspective as you're building out your business. There's lots of things that are going to come along the way. Are you prepared to invest in this business and be committed to this business until death do you part? Now, for some of you, marriage is scary. The idea of it is scary. So you like, I ain't doing nothing until death do me part. Okay, cool. I feel like businesses are more like babies anyway. Most of us aren't divorcing our kids. I mean, you can, but most of us are not divorcing our kids no matter what. And so, are you committed to your business baby like that? Are you committed to seeing this baby come to life and bringing this baby to life and doing the things that you need to do to make sure that that baby is alive and healthy? And that's the question. It's a level of commitment that you have to have. So once we start getting that business set up and things start looking good and you're like, oh yeah, D Williams, I am making money, honey. I'm making money. The next thing we're going to do is to start focusing on scaling the business. Okay. The next thing we want to do is focus on scaling the business. And I'm scaling my people in a whole new kind of way. Right. I typically would spend lots and lots of time. Oh, come on. Going in and trying to, of course, whenever I want to go live, then, okay, I was about to say, like, what? Of course, when I want to go live, it's not working right. But I used to spend a lot of time helping my clients scale. I have a whole separate program where we go through and actually help people scale their staffing businesses. And what I did was I took that and I turned it into a technology to make things a little bit easier on me and my clients. And this is the outcome of that, right? And partnering with some amazing technology and some amazing people to really help me bring this thing to life. And what Pitch Close does is we actually help you build out your sales program, or 1099 sales program. So not for your internal team, but for your external team. And we help you build that out so that you can actually hire salespeople legally and scale your staffing business rather quickly. So you don't have to work so hard. And you don't have to work to bring that first million to life. You're going to build a team that's going to actually help you do that from the very beginning, right? And so I'm in one of my clients' accounts right now. It's the account I've been playing with and making sure that everything there. And this is his dashboard. But he basically has a sales program here that he has started building out. And with this sales program, it is all about setting up the infrastructure for a team, a 1099 team to come in, for you to legally actually bring this team to come in and to work and sell on your behalf. And so we go in and we set up the contractor details, the structure, all of that, all of these things, and the commission model, how our services, what market territory you're in, the value proposition, all of these things are being built in the very beginning. And you can actually have us build this with you, right? Or for you. We do have a done for you program, or you can do it on your own. And you're going to set up all of the rules and different things like that to go in and to build out this business. So I like my clients to set them up with like a 5 million goal for the first year, right? Will you make 5 million? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know, but that's what it is. It's a goal. And we want to bring in enough contractors, 1099 contractors, who can sell enough to actually hit that goal, because you're still going to be working, you're still going to be managing this team, but at the same time these 1099 workers are going to be selling and helping to expand the company to the vision that we originally designed from the very beginning. So you're going to go in and put all your financial goals and your target activity, and every time you put something in, it's building on the last response. You're going to set up your KPIs for your sales team. You're going to set up the comp structure. We help you through that so you can have a great compensation structure for your sales team. Define whatever resources that you need. And then we're going to go in and get those job postings going so that we can get them up, which will help us to define what type of training we need to create for the sales team. Right. And then onboard and getting them onboarded. And then you're going to go get your program. You can analyze it to make sure it makes sense. Save it, and then publish your program. Once you publish your program, that's where things get very exciting, because now you can actually start hiring. So you would go in and you would actually start hiring. So with that, you should already have jobs that were created that are in here in a draft ready for you to publish. Here, this client has 12 different jobs across the country, pretty remote. And if you want to see what it looks like, just so you know, let me just say that's not it, because my cache is not cleared. Just so you know. Oh, why is it doing this? Why is it doing this? I know if you go there, you'll be able to see it because your cache is cleared. Mine is not. And that's because I've been working. Okay, so this will show you what it looks like, because my cache is not cleared on my Google, but it is on my Safari. So this is the marketplace. Let me move this over. This is the marketplace. This is where people can go in and actually contractors can go in and actually apply for your role, right? So they can go in and they can actually do a quick apply. They would need to create an account. So I'll show you what the quick apply looks like in a second. But they can go in and view the job details. If it's an employer, the employer can go in and post a job. But if they want to go in and view the details, then they can go in and see the opportunity. They can apply for the role. And then the role, it tells you what the job, like literally everything that the responsibilities and different things like that, what it takes, what you need to have, and all of that stuff. So based on when the job is posted, right, the way the job is posted, and then they can go in and apply for the role. When they go in and apply for the role, then it should take them to create an account. So I don't know if it did that or not, but that's what's supposed to happen from there. So they can see whatever you post from here. And of course, you can share it. You can create a QR code that goes with it. You can share it on social media. We have functionality where you can generate videos and post them on there to market your job and different things like that. Or you can send it out depending on the program you have and have our AI go in and start sourcing people for you. But the goal is for you to go ahead and get the role up and going. And you have a whole section back here which helps you to define how you want your job posting to look and what you want to market. You can actually, most of my clients, I have them put their job descriptions on a Google Drive, Google Doc. So you can paste your Google Doc there and it'll parse your job description for you. You work through your commission structure if you don't already have that structure from setting up your program. You put all your nice to have stuff in, any screening questions you have, you set it up and you post the job, right? And then now your people will go in and apply and all of that great stuff. So I'm gonna actually I can log out of here and we can log in as a contractor so you can see what that looks like. So now I'm logged in as a contractor, and I can go in and I can actually browse opportunities. So this is the marketplace for the contractor. So as I'm going in and browsing opportunities, I can either quick apply. So you can go in and use a quick apply assistant if your profile is already set up. So when you're a contractor, when you come in, you have the ability to set up your profile. Your profile is basically your resume. It's like your LinkedIn profile. It's like your resume. And you would set up, I don't know what's going on. You would set up, where's my profile? You would set up, you would set up your profile, right? And as you set it up and you save it, then you can set up many different ones. You can use those for your quick apply. And we also have a resume builder that you can use here as well if you want. But when you go in and apply for opportunities, you can use that quick apply from there. You select your resume, use your quick apply, and then the AI will help you apply for the role there. Or you could just go in and view the details as we did earlier. And again, you could do your quick apply there or apply for that position directly from there. And so there you have, that's how it looks on that end. And then basically after the contractor decides that they want, what is going on, because I don't have the onboarding set up for this guy, because he has not been hired officially. After they've been hired, then they go through onboarding essentially. Okay, so they would go through onboarding and then they would actually go through training. If you have any training programs set up, so you can actually train your contractors right through the platform, hire them, go through training and everything. And then after they go through training, you can actually have them start selling on behalf of your business. So that's the system that we have right now. And I've got 5 clients on here. So it's brand new. I have 5 clients on here, which is really good. And they are working with me as we're building everything out. But I'll tell you, we've come so far. Like we have the sales program set up. You can actually post your jobs. We're waiting on our approval from Indeed, so you can run it through Indeed as well. There, and onboarding is great right now. If you have already onboarded your people, and by the end of the week you'll be able to onboard everybody appropriately through the system as well. Right now you can put your training up and have that go as well. So a lot of things we have enhanced based on feedback from people, which has been great. We made it better. This is my baby right now, what I've been working on more than anything. This is what's most important to me because it's something that I'll be using in my business as well as helping my clients use their business, use it in their businesses. And so they're really excited. And this is something that I'll have all of my staffingpreneurs do in the future, as well as any small businesses that are service-based. It's just the best way to actually scale your business rather quickly. So you have the ability to actually do this business model on your own or to scale it and get a team. Now, back in the day, I just charged different for scaling. I didn't even talk about scaling, to be honest with you. As you can see, this is the contractor's dashboard. So they get onboarded where they have to pass their compliance, sign the contract, get their W-9, their 1099 form, so like they have things that they have to do. Here, this is another test. That's me testing. So your candidates are 100% in, your contractors are 100% in, just like you are, right? And giving you the ability to actually grow and scale your team. And so I'm really excited for you, because this is an opportunity for you to not just bring your business idea to life, but to bring it to life in a way that it's kind of like a full business in a box, even more business in a box than I had before, right? Because now you're setting up and you're actually getting to that revenue a lot faster than what you would. If you're interested in setting up your sales program, reach out to me, schedule an appointment. We would definitely love to help you set up your sales team. Again, this is not for a W-2 sales team. This is for a 1099 compliant, legally compliant sales team. Very different. So it's not a lot of upfront costs that you have to build the team out. The cost is really more for you to work the technology and to manage them than anything. So if that's something you're interested in, I would encourage you to go to staffingpreneursacademy.com and schedule an appointment. If you go to Pitch Close AI, which I'll actually put in here in a second, you can also schedule an appointment there. And I would love to help you. My team would love to help you as well. And, that's really what we're talking about today. We're really talking about you taking, starting your staffing agency, creating $1 billion staffing agency model, and really bringing it to life, not playing with it. Okay. Because a lot of y'all be playing with it. Okay. But I mean, not playing with it, really, really, really bringing it to life and creating a new version of yourself. I'll be back later today. And I'm not talking staffing when I come back later today, although this is a part of staffing, right? I'm talking about the 90-day lock-in, and we're talking about building AI. Y'all just saw I use this to help build AI, right? We're going to show you how to do that. Make sure that you know how to do that. We have a workshop coming up to help you actually build AI out, because a lot of people tell you just put the prompt in and go. You don't want to do that. Don't do it, okay? Don't do it. You're going to waste your time and your money. We're going to show you how to do it step by step. And so I'll see y'all later this evening. I'm very, very excited about seeing you. I appreciate you hanging out here and being with me. And we have a new intro and outro, so I'm excited for you to be able to see that too. I'll see y'all later at the 90-day lock-in live. I'll see you next week for a Staffingpreneurs Academy Q&A. Nobody asked me any real questions, so I love y'all. I'll see y'all next week.
Unleash your ideas. Like and subscribe. Unleash your ideas. Like and subscribe. Yeah, yeah. Got a spark in your soul, time to set it free. From your heart to the world, be who you're meant to be. Ideas ain't meant to just sit on the shelf. Bring them to life, be bold, be yourself. No more waiting, now's your chance. Turn that thought into a master plan. Click that bell, let's make it loud. Dreamers, doers, stand up proud. Unleash your ideas. Like and subscribe. Unleash your ideas. Like and subscribe. Show the world what you've got inside. Unleash your ideas. Unleash your ideas. You're one thought away from changing the game. One step closer to fortune and fame. Whether big, whether small, just begin. Every empire starts from within. Unleash your ideas. Like and subscribe. Unleash your ideas. Like and subscribe. If you're ready, let's go take the ride. unleash your ideas.